Hello, everybody, and welcome to the TeacherCast Educational Broadcasting Network. My name is Jeff Bradbury. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for making TeacherCast your home for professional development. I want to start off the show today by asking a question. Lean in a little bit. Do you like cartoons? Do you like making cartoons? Do you want to know how to make cartoons with your students? Today, my guest is the person that is responsible for helping us do just that. And we're going to be talking about a fantastic app that was recently launched by Google, teaching you and your students how to make cartoons. There's, of course, several great ways that you can reach out and be a part of this and all of our shows. You can, of course, find us on Twitter at TeacherCast. Leave us a voice message over at teachercast.net/voicemail. Email us at feedback@teachercast.net. And, of course, you can subscribe to this and all of our shows at teachercast.net/audio and teachercast.net/video. My guest today is one of the creators of a fantastic brand new app teaching kids all about cartooning and storytelling called Toontastic. I want to bring on today to the program Mr. Andy Russell. Andy, how are you today? Welcome to TeacherCast.
Hi, Jeff. Nice to meet you. Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much for coming on today. You know, a couple weeks ago, I got this email that says Google just launched a fantastic new storytelling, cartoony-based application called Toontastic, and I tried it out. It's a free app. It is absolutely amazing. Tell us a little bit about it.
It is a creative storytelling tool. It enables kids to basically tell the stories that they dream up and share them with other kids around the world.
And what kind of feedback have you gotten in the last couple weeks, or maybe it's months at this point since it's launched? I mean, I'm using it right now, K-12, with all of my schools. It is absolutely fantastic. And as you said, it's storytelling at its finest.
Well, the best feedback we get is just how much kids use it. So I think since it's launched in January, we've had over 2 million creations using Toontastic, which is just the best news we can hear. We like building megaphones for kids. We like giving them chances to express themselves and tell their story with the world. But we hear from a lot of teachers. We hear from a lot of kids. We hear from a lot of parents. And it's always, hey, we're having a great time. It's amazing how easy this is and how fun it is, and how much we want to make things when it's fun and easy to do it. So we like that kind of feedback. And it's also really cool to hear back from teachers all the creative ways that they do use it in the classroom. We call it a storytelling tool. A lot of folks have very traditional ideas of what storytelling means. But we keep hearing from all these teachers who kind of redefine storytelling in their own way. And they use it for science, and they use it in math classes. They use it for history and social studies and current events. And it's amazing to see that it's not just the students who are creative, it's the teachers as well.
I love that analogy you gave there, a megaphone for kids. We're certainly going to have a quick demo later on in the show here, but I wanted to talk a little bit about where we can find this amazing app. You can, of course, go over to toontastic.withgoogle.com, or is it also over at, is it toontastic.com as well?
Yeah, toontastic.com also redirects you over to that site.
So toontastic.com, that's TOONTASTIC. It is bright, it is shiny, it is amazing. You can also use this on your iPhone, iPad, and of course it's also over on the Android store. Talk to us a little bit about what we can do with this app. You know, we talked about storytelling and we said cartoons. What actually does Toontastic do?
Before we jump into that, I did want to actually make one clarification,
Sure.
which is in addition to being on the iPhone and iPad and Android tablets and phones, I think this is going to be particularly relevant for teachers. We're also working on all the new Chromebooks that are coming out. So the new Chromebooks have this amazing feature where you can run Android apps, and it has the Play Store built in right to the device. So it also, a lot of them have touchscreens, and even a couple coming out now with a stylus. And so we are running on all of those new touchscreen Chromebooks, and it is amazing. We see our apps in homes and in classrooms on all the devices that seem to be relevant today. So if you do happen to have, if you're in a district that happens to have these new Chromebooks with touchscreens, then you can open up the Play Store today and go and download Toontastic for free and run it right there on the device.
That is absolutely fantastic. I didn't even know that. That was pretty cool there. Well, we'll have to try that at school tomorrow with all these different things here. Talk to us a little bit about it. I mean, you've got a pretty easy way of creating the cartoons here. You come up with characters, you come up with scenes, and then you come up with scenarios here. I'm just going to show everybody who's watching what the website looks like as we go, but give us a little bit of a how can a teacher use this in their school district or in their classrooms?
Sure. Sure. So our goal is actually to make creative tools that feel like toys, that are really playful and really accessible, and that map nicely onto kind of known metaphors for kids. So in the case of Toontastic, we've built what's essentially a digital puppet theater. It's not about traditional character animation. You're not doing tweening or keyframes or anything like that. You pick a world, a background, or a setting. You pick some characters, and then you move the characters around on and inside of this world. And the app records the animations that you create as you move the characters around with your fingers, and it records your voice as well. So you're not going back, you're not editing a video like you would in, say, an iMovie or Final Cut or anything like that. You're just performing, and it records it in real time. And the upshot of this is that students can create a 3-minute long cartoon in 3 minutes, and it can be as playful and expressive as they are themselves. It doesn't take really much to learn at all. You just kind of act out and improvise, if you will, on the fly. If you want, you can write a script out ahead of time. But other than that, it's really quick, it's easy, and it's great to iterate. So the first thing you do, as you said, is you pick your characters in your story, and then you pick your setting, and then you act out your story, and then you can pick some music to go along with it. And we've broken storytelling process down into a template, a story arc, if you will. And we have 3 different types of story arcs. We have a classic story, which is a setup, a conflict, a challenge, a climax, and a resolution. We have a short story, which is beginning, middle, and end. And then we also have a science report. And this comes from hearing back from teachers that they were using it for science classes for kids to create animated reports. And in the science report story arc, we have the question, the hypothesis, the experimental design, the results, and the conclusion. So there are 3 different types of story arcs in the current version of Toontastic. There will be more story arcs in the future. And you animate and create your cartoon the same in all 3 types.
You know, we do a lot of work here on the TeacherCast Educational Broadcasting Network with puppets, and one of our co-hosts does a lot of puppet work, and we have this saying called "puppets are magic" because it really gives a kid a voice, and it really gives a kid an identity sometimes, where maybe you have those kids that can't be on camera or can't have photos taken of them. They can certainly create something with puppets, or in this case with Toontastic, and they now have a voice. They now have an outlet for them to be creative, and that might be good for that quiet student in the back of the room.
Yeah, and we talk a lot about low floors and high ceilings when we talk about designing our creative tools, in that we want to make it as easy and accessible for students to jump in and just start making stuff. And we want to make it as easy as possible for students to be really expressive. So, crayons and markers are great examples of low floors and high ceilings, where anybody can jump in and start drawing. And you can actually be fairly expressive with crayons and with markers. Legos are another great example of this. The Scratch project out of MIT is a great sort of low floor, high ceiling kind of tool for programming. There are a lot of tools out there that have high ceilings and pretty high floors, like Photoshop. Nice. And then there are a lot of tools out there that have really low floors, but also low ceilings, like classic wooden building blocks, right? They're really easy to start building things, but really hard to make anything that is anything more than, a classic castle or something like that. So we're really proud of what we created with Toontastic. It is easy to start, and it's easy to make something wonderful. But then it also grows with you a little bit. The more time you spend with it, the more you start to learn about storytelling, the more you realize the importance of having a strong arc and a strong narrative byline. And the more you realize what you can do with really basic tools in order to make it unique and expressive.
It is absolutely an amazing app. Again, it's available for iPhone, iPad, Android store, Chromebooks, the whole deal here. Let's just kind of take a break right now. Andy, would you be able to give us a quick demo of how this works?
Yeah, let me show you how it works.
So today we have a fun curveball. This is Toontastic running on a new Samsung Chromebook, which, as you can see, looks like a regular laptop with a big, beautiful screen and keyboard and mouse. But, drum roll, flip it around, and it turns into a tablet, complete with a touchscreen.
So when you start a Toontastic cartoon, you have the choice of 3 different story arcs. You have a short story, what you'd expect, a beginning, middle, and end, a classic story, and then a science report. And the science report is kind of like a question, a hypothesis, experimental design, results, and conclusion. Right now, we're going to dive into a classic story. And we start the students on what we call the story arc. This collection of scenes, all different scene types, all arranged in a typical sequence: a setup, a conflict, a challenge, a climax, and a resolution. Now you can change the sequence of these scenes if you want to be Christopher Nolan and put the beginning at the end, like you did in Memento, and the end at the beginning. You can do that. Or if you want to add different types of scenes and say, hey, let's have a second conflict in our story and make a 2-act play, you can totally do that. You can delete scenes if you want and shorten things up a little bit. You can kind of adapt the story arc however you want. Right now, we're just going to stick with a 4-scene story. We're going to dive right into the setup.
Setup, where you introduce the story setting and characters.
Now, once we tell the students what a scene does, in this case, the setup scene, introduce your story setting and your characters, the first thing we're going to ask you to do is, pick a setting. So we have all these settings that are kind of built into the app: pirates and jungle adventures and Mars. We also have a drawing tool in the lower left-hand corner here where you can draw your own background. In this case, I'm going to tell a pirate adventure. Once we've selected our world, of course, now we have to select our characters. I'm going to pick some typical characters here. We'll go with Mr. Jinx, our monkey, and a pirate. And then I'm going to change it up a little bit and introduce some silliness. Like, I don't know, this giant Bigfoot. And we can also switch our collections here, and we can draw our own characters. Here is a rowboat that I built before, so I'm going to go ahead and add that. And this I made by just drawing it in 2D, and then we extrude it into 3D, so it's a 3D object, just like the rest of our characters. So I hit the forward button here, and I can set up my scene. My character is going to pop on. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. As you can see, we have a big pirate world. We've got a volcano. We've got a cool tree house here. And I'm going to set things up. I'm going to make this crab guy my villain. I'm going to make him a little bit bigger. I just kind of, with 2 fingers, can scale him up bigger. I can move my arms just like this, and I can hold my finger down, and he can talk, and I can tap him, and he'll do kind of a signature animation there. That's cool. And all the elements in the world are interactive as well. So I just tap the cannon, and it fires a cannonball. Or I tap the volcano, and the volcano will blow up. So let's see what else we got here. Let's have our Bigfoot here kind of stuck inside of the jail, and we can open up our jail door. We can close our jail door. And then let's have this mischievous little monkey here. Let's have him sneak up, and he's going to try to spring Bigfoot from the jail on the pirate ship. And then I'm going to put my captain up here at the helm. What do you know? And let's start our story there. It was the year 1498. And the Captain Roberts was at the helm of the ship. Avast! It's a beautiful day on the sea. Little did he know that Brass Monkey was sneaking up in the rowboat to try to free his dad, King Jinx. Dad, you've been down here for so long. I've missed you so much. Let me try to open up this jail here. Zoop. Ha 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 ha, son, I'm free. It's so great to see you. Great to see you too, Dad. Meanwhile, King Crab here. Fire the cannons. And the volcano went off. What am I gonna do? I'm gonna hit the stop button. And it's going to play back all of my animation. So I have like 3 different storylines going there simultaneously. It was the year 1498, and the Captain Roberts was at the helm of the ship. Avast! And it's got my voice, and it's got my animations rendering it out perfectly. Little did he know. Now, we talked earlier about this idea of the story arc, and this idea that you have sort of a sequence or an x-axis on the story arc. You also have a y-axis, and the y-axis represents emotional energy. So you have high energy scenes and low energy scenes. Setups are typically a little low energy, but this one was actually a little bit higher. So I'm going to find an emotion that kind of matches where I'm at.
It's so great to
Let's say
see
stormy.
You. Great to see you too, Dad.
And it's going to start to play some background music for me. It's a little soft. You might hear it in the background or not. I'm not quite sure. But I'm going to try to crank it up a little bit. And I'm going to go from stormy to angry.
And the volcano
I'm going to crank it up even a little further. And I can go from angry to enraged. And you can see right above the slider there, we're adjusting the story arc as we go. I think enraged is a pretty good match. So I hit the check button here. And now we've returned to our story arc. And you can see my setup has cranked up. It's now at the height of emotion. And the app is telling me to move on to the conflict and then the resolution and the climax. And you can go scene by scene recording everything. So I'll hit the finish button because we just have time for one scene today. And then I can type in my title. And we'll say Pirate Tale. And then made by Andy. We'll hit the check button. And then it will render everything together for me, my voice, my animation, and my background music into a video, which you can also export out and save and share however you like.
The year
and that's how you make a cartoon in Toontastic.
Captain Roberts.
Andy, the demo looks absolutely fantastic. I love how easy it is to create, to collaborate, and also just to completely have a student reach out and have their own personality with all of this stuff. Again, the website here is toontastic.com. I want to talk a little bit about some of the things that we can do in our schools. Clearly this is something that the younger kids could do. I could also imagine that this is something that the older kids could do. I mean, obviously you've got cartoony characters, but that doesn't mean that a cartoony character can't emulate a famous historical figure or something. And now you're having George Washington and Abraham Lincoln go on an adventure or something like that, where you're giving them their voices. Talk to us a little bit about some of the really creative ways that you've seen Toontastic being used at whatever grade level.
Sure. So Toontastic is actually, this is the second iteration of Toontastic. We built a version about 5 years ago and have updated it many times over now to include all sorts of new features. This latest version is actually one we're calling Toontastic 3D. And it's new because it's cross-platform. It's working on Android, it's working on iPhone as well as iPad, working on Chromebook. But it's also new because it's in 3D, as we say in the title, which is to say not the 3D like the glasses that we grew up with going to theaters or virtual reality or anything like that, but 3D characters and 3D worlds. It's amazing to see what the kids and what the students how much they invest into their creations when the quality of the content steps up. I think we with the last version of Toontastic, we were sort of like in Looney Tunes land, and now we're a little bit more in Pixar land. And the kids invest so much more as a result of it. They really get into it, and it's amazing to see. But all to say, we've actually been working with teachers and informal educators like scout leaders and tutors and things like that for many years now. And one of the best things has been seeing all of the creative ways that these educators are using the app, ways that in many ways we never expected. When we first put the app out there, we kind of thought, oh, this is going to be a great way for 5 to 8 year olds to tell stories about pirates and princesses and to create really great fantasy stories. And then we started hearing from all these teachers of kids who were much younger and much older and using the app in ways that we never expected and deviating from the classic kind of storytelling genre. And by this, I mean, we would have, kindergarten teachers talking about sequencing, first this happened, then this happened, then that happened. First and second grade teachers working on oral literacy development, sounding out vocabulary. Middle school teachers doing foreign language. So having kids perform their own little Telemundo skits and practicing out their Spanish vocab in storytelling form. We would have science teachers, as I said earlier, doing animated science reports. One of my favorite stories is actually a librarian in Texas who would have her students check out a book in the library. And when they returned it, they had to have made a movie trailer in Toontastic. They would have to make a movie trailer of the book that they had just read. And the reason she did this is she found that the students weren't reading the jacket covers on the back of the books anymore to get the kind of previews, or at least they weren't as engaged with the jacket previews as they used to be. And so she would create a little QR code, a sticker, and she would put it on the back of the book. And the students could come and take the book that they were thinking about checking out, scan it under the iPad in her library, and then watch a preview video, a movie trailer that another student had created of the book that they had read. And this is very Vygotskian, right? This idea of social learning, that me as a third grader, I would be really enticed to read a book because the fifth grader that I looked up to had checked it out last year and really enjoyed it. And she just got back to us and she said, you would be amazed at the quality of these trailers that the kids have created, how excited they get about creating what are essentially book reports in animated form. And then also how excited the younger kids get when they see these trailers that the older kids created, and how much more likely they are to actually check out the book. Anyway, it's a long story, but I've just been blown away by the creative uses of these teachers in sort of redefining storytelling to be much broader than we had ever expected it to be. And so when we rebuilt Toontastic, when we came to Google, and re-released it in January, one of our big goals was to create these multiple different types of story arcs. We started with a short story and a classic story and a science report, but we'll go on from there.
It's just amazing at how easy this is to manipulate for all the different. I mean, obviously, look, pre-K, this is fantastic. Whiteboards, this is fantastic. Foreign language classes, this is absolutely fantastic. Pulling out scenarios of different historical events, this is fantastic. I love the idea of the science. I'm looking forward to seeing some more information about all this. Talk to us a little bit about some of the technical aspects of using this app. Do the projects get stored on the device, or are the projects stored in the cloud somewhere? Because many schools are still using the smaller hard drive devices.
Right now, all the projects are stored on device, and that's for a couple of reasons. One is, a lot of the Wi-Fi infrastructure that we've run into over the years of, having spotty connections, frankly, with routers in schools, and we just wanted to make it as easy as possible for data to be stored, and for the students to be able to pull their content off of the devices. You can export videos to the camera roll in iOS or to the Photos folder on Android or Chromebook. And then you can move them off the device to another computer if you'd like, and share them as you will with families if you'd like, or to hard drive or drive folder or something like that. One technical thing that I find is really important, a lot of teachers are probably asking, well, you have all these characters and you have all these settings that are built into the app. How am I supposed to do historical recreations? How am I supposed to do movie trailers or book trailers or something like that? And one of the keys to Toontastic is having really good drawing tools. So in addition to all of these characters that we ship with the app and all of these playsets, worlds, backgrounds that we ship, we also give you the ability to draw your own backgrounds and to draw your own characters as well. So
does that mean it works well with the iPad Pro and their pencils, or does it matter if it's a Pro or a Android tablet, or same type of technology for the drawing?
You can draw with a stylus. You can draw with your finger. It doesn't require that hardware at all.
Nice.
But yeah, it works really well. And we're absolutely amazed by how much creativity and effort these kids put into their drawings. We see some amazing characters and some amazing backgrounds as well.
Is there a limit to how long the videos can be or the projects can be?
Each scene is a minute long. So we break our cartoons down into scenes, and sorry, I'm getting notifications on my computer. I just want to turn them off here. We break each scene down, or each story into scenes, as I said, on our story arcs. And each scene has to be a minute long. It could be under a minute, but the maximum is 1 minute. And the goal there is to kind of prevent run-on sentences, right? We would find that without any kind of scaffolding, that the students would just kind of say, and this happened, and this happened, and this happened, and there wouldn't be a whole lot of structure. We want students to break their stories down into these scene types and say that, every story is different, but they share the same, common bone structure. and you have an introduction, and you have a conclusion, and you have a climax. And we think it's important for students to break their stories down along those scaffolds, along those structures. And we think it's also important that students appreciate brevity, right? That they are concise in their storytelling, and that they communicate themselves clearly and quickly. So there is a 6-scene limit in Toontastic, and so your cartoons need to be 6 minutes or less.
So being a Google company now, one might ask the question, if I take this final project, save it as a video, I might be able to update it or upload it into Google Drive, and then maybe take that video and stick it on my new Google site. Is that a possibility?
So right now, the way to do that is you can export the video out of Toontastic, and it will save it to your folders. Whether if you're on iOS, it's your Photos folder or your camera roll. If you're on Android, it's your standard Google Photos. And from there, you can do with it what you will. All sharing options are open.
That is fantastic. I know many people that are watching out there are Google schools, and they're using new Google sites, and they're always looking for great information for both teaching and for learning. The app is called Toontastic, TOONTASTIC.com. Andy, this is an absolute fantastic app, and I'm certainly looking forward to more amazing things. Could you give us a glimpse as to what the future might be for Toontastic? We've got exporting, we got importing, we got 3D, we've got the great price point of free. Can you tell us anything about what we might be expecting throughout the rest of 2017 and beyond?
We're looking forward to supporting more and more stories, more different story arcs and different story templates. We have the 3 that we've launched with, and hope to expand from there. And for that, we are leaning on educators and parents and kids to get back to us with, what kinds of stories are they telling, and what kind of stories do they want to tell? Design thinking is one that we're playing around with right now, hearing from a lot of educators, and using the app to scaffold this sort of design and invention process. And with that comes new characters and new worlds. We look at content inside of the app almost like a spark plug, a little catalyst for the kids. Ultimately, we find that our power users, our super users, will rely more on the drawing tools to kind of create their own characters and their own worlds. But to get the kids started, we find that the characters are really engaging and really spark their imagination. So with the new story arcs will also come new characters and settings as well.
And if I am a teacher that's out there that's using this creatively in my classroom, how do we get a hold of you? Where do we find out more information and be a part of the Toontastic family?
Well, you can reach out to us through, I guess, the standard Google social media channels, as well as the Google support pages. All the app-related support questions find their way into our inbox. So you can go on to google.com, go on to the EDU channels as well to learn more about how different educators are using the app in the classroom, and hang out at toontastic.com.
Excellent. Andy, thank you so much for your time, and thank you to Google for coming on the show tonight and talking all about this fantastic new, I'll say it again, free learning experience.
It's my pleasure, Jeff. Thanks for your support.
And thank you out there for watching this episode of the TeacherCast Educational Broadcasting Network. There's, of course, several great ways that you can reach out and request a show topic or even be a guest on our podcast. You can find us on Twitter at TeacherCast. Leave us a voice message over at teachercast.net/voicemail. Email me at feedback@teachercast.net. And, of course, please subscribe to this audio and video channel and leave us a great review and some comments over at teachercast.net/audio and teachercast.net/video. On behalf of everybody here on the TeacherCast Educational Broadcasting Network, my name is Jeff Bradbury, reminding you to keep up the great work in your classroom and continue sharing your passions with your students.